we are back in the real world, as I may say so. And there's so much happening. And I think just to begin with, I'd like to congratulate you all for this timely initiative in Learning Fest. Just the sessions that you spoke about. Um, I am looking forward, and I know our staff that is watching and listening out there, they are looking forward to participate in this Learning Fest for the next 2 days, and looking forward to learn ahead and do more. So I'm just here to submit. Thank you for the privilege of being the speaker, but I'm just here to submit some of my thoughts. And I thought, what better time than now? And I just want to draw your attention to one of the things. And I think all of us, at the turn of the 21st century, realize that there's an emerging need for people to be hands-on with the skills that they learn. And therefore, applied learning gains prominence. I remember at the turn of this decade, in I think early 2020, the World Economic Forum had announced that the world is currently facing a dire upskilling emergency. And therefore, 1 billion people will need upskilling by 2030. So this underlying message was for corporations, organizations across the world, the governments, and the society to work together and bring in an educational environment, an environment and for learning that is agile and enables people to find their roles in the workplaces of tomorrow. Therefore, learning transformation is the need of the hour. One that is focused on the connection between continuous reskilling and upskilling on one hand, and the actual work on the other. So they are two sides of the same coin, really. And learning happens everywhere, every day, every avenue, inside the home and outside. And therefore, in an ever-changing world, one filled with the advanced technologies and the industries with disruptions happening all the time, and the demand for jobs that would not have existed about even a decade ago, the world and thus our economies are changing at an unprecedented rate. So the question remains, what does this mean for learning and eventually the educational process? So as technology penetrates into nearly every aspect of our lives, we are moving towards an entirely new educational landscape in the post-pandemic era, with emerging technologies taking the world by storm on one hand, and on the other, challenging task to make sense of this ever-changing world and its needs and the offerings, and empower ourselves and our kids, our students. And therefore, not long ago, at the beginning of an academic term here, I think about 2 years ago, my sister, along with the team of our people, and I discussed on what is the nature of the co-curricular activities that could be planned for the academic year, given the situation there. And as an organization, we were in a conundrum on whether to focus on just the basic transactional, teaching learning, or stay true to our vision to incorporate activity-based hands-on learning. And incidentally, just a week later, the National Education Policy was announced. And thus my journey of relearning and reinventing myself began. And therefore, firstly, reading the, as we call NEP now, cover to cover boosted my confidence and helped me, understand, okay, what is involved. And therefore, I was then able to encourage and enable our people to find workable solutions and incorporate, a different innovative home-based activities with academics. And mind you, it came from our teachers, the ideas. And what I realized is making space for those ideas. And change, when especially it comes from all directions at breakneck speed, is unsettling. So I realized that, but at the same time, we were very clear that we can't just let the future unfold itself before us. We have to be a part of shaping it ourselves. And therefore, apart from all the things that we were doing and the work that was happening, I got involved in understanding the NEP, and from regular interaction and the brainstorming sessions with our people, to participating in panels and forums to gain insight, and attending so many sessions with fellow educators, and the specialists that were in the field. All of this added to my learning, and some of those ideas found implementation in our schools. And therefore, as an educator, to relearn and reinvent myself helped me realize that this journey is both incremental and involves community. So, therefore, from gathering insights to experimentations to making micro progress and improvements, we were a community then of teachers, parents, students, that supported this all the way. And this boosted us even more, and my confidence even more. And I realized one of the most important skills in this century is the ability to reinvent oneself constantly, because it's so dynamic out there. Like, even with the best of technologies available free of cost, it is difficult, and kind of lonely to do this all by yourself. And that's why we need to build, we need to nurture, we need to be a part of learning communities, diverse learning communities. And therefore, my biggest learning has been that if we want to become efficient, proactive, lifelong learners, we must figure out ways to connect the dots between what we know and what we aspire to know. And what we aspire to know must follow our curiosities, but also factor in our strengths, our interests, and the availability of our time. This learning combined, so as a result of all of that, this learning of the NEP and all that it came with, it kind of resonated with our shared vision. And as a result, this learning combined with our collective reflection translated into pan-India flagship programs in that year, on career discovery and intelligence. And it was launched in 2021, which received overwhelming response from students firstly. Teachers were excited, parents were excited, and it's all virtual, by the way. And that's how it encouraged us. And we knew we were on the right track. And this is how we are committed in shaping the future and staying true to the shared vision at Ryan. And when our students, when they're confined to their homes with their gadgets, we found ways to kind of ignite a sense of lifelong learning. It has to be the core of all that we do here on, and use that time for like self-reflection, a kind of through like community building and engaging themselves, even involving themselves with learning communities. And we found ways to channelize that through our learning community of, the Ryan alumni with their mentorship programs, and also involving them in some thought-provoking interactive sessions to make education more relevant. Now, the NEP 2020 clearly states the importance of holistic and multidisciplinary education, and how pedagogy must evolve to make education more experiential, integrated, holistic, inquiry-driven, student learner-centered, flexible, but also enjoyable. And it underlines and highlights the need for radical collaboration at every level. And I love this quote. And I think the NEP has given us a shared vocabulary to communicate uncommon ideas in common language. And for me, all of this would not be possible without building significant relationships. And that's why I love this quote. And anyone who knows me in our group, they all know this. I love this quote by Dr. James Comer, a professor from Yale. And he said, "No significant learning occurs without a significant relationship." And therefore, I think it's time to build even more meaningful relationships with all our stakeholders, first at the horizontal level and then vertical. And I was so encouraged to hear that in the, I think it was a promo just before we started. And almost every stakeholder out there, every educator out there spoke about the social engagement, how the camaraderie between each other, the sense of community with each other. And that is the essence of all that we do to learn ahead. And therefore, it's time. It's time to build and engage in diverse learning communities, to reinvent ourselves, not just to keep up, but to thrive in an ever changing world. And this is exactly why I'm thrilled to learn about the mission of Orange Slates, to build a global community of educators with a focus on learning and development, which I believe can scale, impact, and empower. And therefore, the teachers who are responsible for educating others also need to be ready to impart future ready skills. I do believe Orange Slates can play a pivotal role in accelerating our shared learning. I know you're already doing it, and but also enable skill sharing at scale. And I believe every person has something to learn and something to share. And therefore, I encourage each one of you to optimize your time with their lined up sessions on, technology integration, collaborative learning, problem solving for future readiness, also integration of art and sports. I love that idea, as well as the SDG responsibility. All of this with different speakers. I'm so glad that Dr. Battal and Gavin are part of this lineup. Thank you for organizing this. And I am looking forward to having each one of these experts spark a new dialogue. I want to gain some actionable insights on integrating NEP in our classrooms as well. And I look forward to a shared learning experience. And lastly, just to conclude, I'd like to just place before you my ever favorite quote by Alvin Toffler. And he said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's time to do that. It's time to learn, relearn, unlearn, and commit ourselves to reinventing ourselves first. We are shaped by this moment, and the outcomes of the choices we make now will shape destinies for years to come. LearnFest is a celebration of the spirit of lifelong learning, and I wish each of you 2 days of proactive, productive learning. Thank you for having me.